Welcome to the Backlog Boys podcast at the cinema. With you, as always, the doc himself, Samuel.
Hey!
Groovy, man. And then we also have the sax player himself, Alexander.
Yo, what's up? Who's the sax player?
Owen Wilson.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to play the
I think we're gonna call me his his sidekick.
So I am Bigfoot.
The
Oh
heroin.
no.
Because I have massive feet.
Who's a dog sidekick?
What?
What?
Yeah.
We're talking- I don't know what you're talking about.
Something with a J, isn't it? Like, I don't know. Yeah,
J.J.
some dude.
Abrams?
The guy.
Yeah, I don't know anyone's names. I never know anyone's
Yeah,
names.
this is one of those movies again.
We're talking about
Hey, guys.
Inherent Vice.
Yeah.
So we're just,
Inherent Vice.
again, we're talking about shit we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I thought you were gonna call me that dude, and I'm like, I had a comeback ready. I'm like, Sam, you're your steering wheel.
Oh my god.
I was going to call you Bigfoot. I'm like, no, Bigfoot, because I had you have the biggest feet. That's fucking disgusting.
I got the smallest
You
feet.
could have been the dentist.
No. Anyways, yeah, we're talking about Inherent Vice. 2014 movie. I think literally the last film. I kept getting this movie confused for some reason.
Why?
Fucking because this is literally the same movie. The exact same movie. Dude, Shane Black made this.
No.
Russell Crowe's in it. No, I'm just kidding.
One's good and one's not.
And
so
one's
good.
Nice Guys. Yeah.
No.
So this movie, 2014. I doubt you would know who the director is for this movie.
I've heard of this guy,
You have?
and I've heard he's like one of those auteur directors, like Wes Anderson, or like I don't know. There's a couple other auteur directors. I can't remember their names right now, but I don't like this guy.
It's like, no.
Yeah, like
Wes Anderson, he is
well,
not.
because I've heard of other stuff. Like I've heard he did that one movie, There Will Be Blood, because
Blue's on the list as well.
because what's his name is in it. Paul
Daniel
Dano's in
Day-Lewis.
it.
Oh,
I don't care about Daniel Day-Lewis. I've never seen a movie with him in it. Sorry.
we're going to.
But I know Paul Dano from Swiss Army
Dano,
Man.
yes.
Dano.
I think it's Dano. Anyways,
Yeah.
continue.
But yeah, like I know he did that, and like I've heard he's like a great director. So when I saw this was a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, I was like, oh, okay.
That's the director, but Paul Thomas Anderson.
I know.
Oh, I didn't know if you knew because you
I'm-
just make.
I'm
I never.
following
Alex just looks aloof and high all the time.
Oh, I am, buddy.
I'm coking it up.
I found.
we were soaking some before.
Omar, I found your stash.
Shit, it was open on purpose.
Yeah. But
You
anyways,
really
Said, oh, yeah, like, help yourself.
It's so ironic you say that because I'm on the opposite.
Sure.
After watching this, I'm like, I have to watch all his movies now.
God, no,
A lot of
man.
his movies are on this list, on my list, I think. Anyways,
I gotta take
No,
So, like-
I got that for Wes Anderson. I did not get that for this.
well, we're gonna talk about this more.
Anderson versus Anderson.
It's funny because they're both like generic like names, like Wes Anderson, Paul
Paul
Thomas.
Thomas
So I was like,
Anderson.
what are these actors,
And they're both
directors,
like
dude?
auteur directors. Like they do they're very
Unique things or
particular.
whatever, and they don't have that many movies on them too. Like,
Yeah.
They have every I think 8. I think both of them have 8 actually.
Something like that.
It's funny you say that. I have all of his movies right here. I won't list them, but like
yeah.
I think the ones I do want to watch some of his movies in general.
Anything notable?
Well, as you said, There Will Be Blood. I think that was nominated for like Oscars and shit.
Yeah.
I think almost all his movies I think were nominated for shit.
Mm.
Yeah.
The other thing maybe there Licorice Pizza that came out this
Oh.
last year.
I wanted to watch that.
Give me that.
Okay.
I would say this movie, Punch Drunk Love. I don't know if you heard of that.
I wanted to watch that too.
I want to watch that too.
Maybe I'm not so
Boogie
so
Nights.
anti
I
this
mentioned that
person.
earlier.
Did he do that one?
He
Is that
did
the
Boogie- he did
one with
Boogie
Mark
Night.
Wahlberg?
Yes, and John C. Reilly.
Oh, is that on our
They're in the
list?
porn industry as well. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's also him or whatever.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of he also brings back a lot of actors. In
So
it
is this
too.
like his worst movie then?
Is there a reason why
No.
this is not good? Those sound phenomenal.
That sounds good.
I can't wait to defend myself in this movie. This is once again 2v1
This is a
on this.
beat down again.
I know, but I'm confident this time because I genuinely love this movie.
Sure.
Again, besides all the points, let's facts and stats and all that. You know,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
classic segment or whatever.
So how did this movie blow its budget?
It's actually not that much money.
Good.
It's $20 million.
Okay.
It definitely did not make its money back.
Oh,
14.7.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think also makes sense because I looked. They didn't release it that many like in the theaters as in general.
Yeah, 'cause
Like it wasn't that much.
I'm just very antagonistic.
Why are you always doing
I don't
that?
know.
You can cut to me asking that. Why
This
you always
movie-
do that?
this
You
movie
always
sucked.
like, yeah, good. Like
Good,
you gotta
good.
calm down, dude. I can't. I don't want to react to
They
that.
didn't put it in a bunch of theaters because they knew people weren't gonna like it. That's
Yes.
why.
Swiss Army Man.
That's true.
There's a lot of movies I think we did watch that they did not release in many theaters and then just did not do well, but they're great movies.
Which is a weird thing. I always thought like they would just release it everywhere they can, but I guess places are very selective about where they release.
Especially because I think the plot of this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
I think so. No, for
especially
sure.
with like the drug kind of aspect of it. I think sometimes it is like that.
Yeah.
But there are movies where like especially nowadays where like they release in theaters for like a week so it can be Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
And then they'll just throw it on Netflix. Like Irishman or whatever, the Martin Scorsese one, it's like 4 hours long. They only released it's like 4 hours. It's like fucking long. They only released it in theaters for like a week.
Okay.
But it was like it's Netflix exclusive, but in theaters for a week, so it can be in the Oscars, like nominated to be an Oscar for shit like that. So they do that as well. Because this came out like December,
Okay.
so like right before like the deadline, I think of like
Sure.
being in the Oscars. I don't know if he did it on purpose, and I don't fucking know.
Maybe.
But like I think it was only nominated for like 2 Oscars. It was like a screenplay and like
Yeah, it was adapted
the,
screenplay
and like the costume design maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
And I don't think it won either of them.
It won. I think it won adapted screenplay.
It might have. I don't remember to be honest. I feel bad
Yeah.
because I think I did research it, but like there were so many awards it was nominated for. I'm like fucking confused.
Well, from my research, I found out that because I did some side research to find out more about this movie because I was very lost.
Digging
But-
your territory, Omar.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna do less work. Yes.
Well, actually, it was just interesting because I noticed that we've seen a lot of 2014 Oscar noms. Like we saw Lady
Ironically, yeah.
we saw Grand Budapest. We've seen this. I don't think we've seen the others though.
No, we definitely seen all of them or whatever.
But we've seen a couple of them.
We've seen a couple like in like 2017 Oscar nominated, like Lady Bird, Blade Runner. What was the other ones?
Oh, I thought this was competing against Lady
Killing
Bird.
of Sacred
I don't
Deer.
No,
remember
Lady Bird's
anymore.
2017.
Yeah.
What'd you
okay.
say?
Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yes, I think that was also nominated.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
those like we're unintentionally like watching like
2014
like 2017 movies like without on purpose.
Just a bunch of Oscar stuff.
Like again, like Raging Bull was also like the only good movie of that Oscar probably, which shows
Sure.
how good those movies were back then.
Yeah, well, that was like 70 something, right?
That was like 80, I think right on 80.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
like
got more stats for me, buddy?
it was so fun. I read this and I thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
That so to celebrate the premiere, the Alamo Drafthouse, the theater, is in Colorado.
Yeah.
As you know, Colorado, especially earlier days, marijuana was legal.
Yeah.
So they had the film premiere there. They provided multiple pounds of weed for everyone to smoke.
Pounds?
Yeah, they just brought, no, I'm saying like in general, they just bought a bunch of fucking weed.
Okay.
So anyone can
Okay.
smoke it or whatever.
Yeah.
So Paul Thomas was there. And they were like, "Do you want to smoke some?" He's like, "No, I'm not fucking." He's not a weed smoker.
Yeah.
I just thought it was fun. They're like, "Let's just go to a specific theater. Everyone can smoke a fuck ton of weed." They're just like, I'm in."
All right.
This reminds me of the scene in Nice Guys where with alcohol.
Yeah,
You want
it's
some?
Oh, it's free?
It's free.
They're just like, "I'm in."
But you know that movie was actually good.
Just kind of just bragging on me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the other ones are like probably better suited maybe if we like post spoilers.
Sure.
But I do think it's, I don't know if you guys noticed, like there are scenes in this movie where it's shot in like film,
Yeah.
like
well,
old ass film.
I was watching this with my younger brother Diego, and
Probably has Falcon Eyes for that shit.
yeah, well, yeah, because he's like super into like old school film. He buys like 80s Soviet era cameras, you know.
Oh, excuse me, when?
Like he had a bunch
The
of.
commies?
Well, yeah, it's funny, kind of like he right before that whole thing broke out in Ukraine, he actually ordered like 3 different cameras from Ukraine. So they took like 3 months to get here.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he's like super into film. He buys like old school film and puts them in the fridge to keep them like Preserved. Yeah, like he's super into that stuff. So when I was watching this with him, he's like, "Wait a minute, like this is filmed on this kind of thing, and like there's all this grain going on." But I asked him because I noticed that some scenes look clearer than others, right? And from what he was telling me, because it might be that the whole thing was filmed on one type of film, but because of the different rates of degradation, it's more noticeable on certain roles than others. So it's entirely possible the whole thing was filmed with that old school film, but different. Like they obviously you're not using one roll the entire length of filming, so like it's noticeable in the editing bay, you know. But
So this fact's gonna answer that question for you, buddy.
well, let me know.
That is exact thing. So the film was inspired of Paul Thomas Anderson, like the way to shoot this film, or whatever, is that he found film in his garage that were 15 years old, and that they were like super fucking like shoddy. So he was like, he wanted to make the whole thing that, but he ended up only making a few of the shots using aged film or whatever, because he thought it was too risky to like use like this, because he was using the reels he found, Like he was using like the 15-year-old film, so he was scared if he made the whole film with that specific ones he had, it wouldn't survive.
Yeah,
so that's why only like a handful of shots are shot through like his 15-year-old fucking films that he found in his garage or whatever.
Interesting.
That's why like as you mentioned, your brother probably pointed out that.
Because a lot of it is in the opening. It's a very interesting stylistic choice, and a part of me wishes he just like, spent some of the budget to buy more film. But Omar, you got something else to tell me? I
have one funny one. That is kind of evolving on another director. That's I don't know what that word you used earlier. That like very specific kind of Edgar
Wright.
I almost call him Edgar Allan. I always keep calling him Edgar Allan Poe all the time. Edgar Wright. Yeah. I have one quote from him, and I think it's really funny.
Sure.
That he called this film Inherent twice.
What?
Because it's a complex movie, and you probably need to watch it twice. So he called it Inherent twice instead of Inherent Vice.
Oh, okay.
When I read that, I'm like, he gets it.
I'm not picking this up again.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch this again.
So. Probably the rest of the stuff is probably more post spoiler stuff anyways, but this movie, the plot's pretty simple and in genuality, with a way to say it. Literally, PI again, ironically enough, in the this is specifically the 70, in the 70 PI, except instead of being an alcoholic like Ryan Gosling was, he's a weed smoker. He's a hippie.
He's a little
Joaquin Phoenix's character.
Yeah.
He gets offered to investigate something of his ex-girlfriend about. I guess her lover, not her boyfriend. I guess you can call her lover, and like that she believes that her lover is gonna be like kidnapped, and that's kind of like the beginning of the movie, and him trying to solve that and other shit that goes on in like his daily life of being a PI in California, which I think Nice Guys is also in California.
Yeah.
So it's ironically enough.
They might have
kind of going the same way or whatever. This movie came out like in 2014 or whatever.
Very similar movies.
Yes, with the same like kind of aesthetic or whatever, especially the time frame.
Yeah.
But as you could probably allude to, I'm the only positive one here.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I think there's probably our non-spoiler section not gonna probably that big.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this shit is pretty like that summary I said. It's like the loosest thing I could say without spoiling anything.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that's like the first like 5 minutes of the movie. I think the first 30 minutes of this movie, I didn't like it because a lot of this movie. They talk to you like you already in this world and you should know everything. Like they say names like you should know these people, and they talk about certain people, and they don't explain things. They kind of just say shit to you, and then I think the first 30 minutes, for me at least, I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? I'm so confused. Like, why are you telling me this right now? Why are you showing me this? What is going on? What the fuck is whatever?
I'm generally confused through most.
And I think maybe like I don't know the specific moment, but there was a certain point where everything just clicked. And I understood what the fuck was going on, and I understood everything. Not everything, but like that makes me sound like I was fucking big bro. I was like, oh.
Can you explain it to us?
I started smoking blunts. That's why.
Start explaining it
in the post spoilers. Okay. But like to me, everything made more sense to me as the movie kept going. And at the end of it, I'm like, this makes sense now. I understand this movie. Because in the beginning, I was like, I'll never watch this movie again. This is a mistake. And at the end of this, I'm like, I'm totally gonna buy this movie and watch this maybe 2 more times. Because like to me, this is what Sacred Deer wanted to be, but it didn't work. And I think this movie does what Sacred Deer wanted to do, and it works perfectly for me. Where they don't explain a lot of things, but it makes sense for me. Obviously, as these two are making faces, like to me, it clicks, and they don't give enough information that you don't need to. I think plot is second in this movie. I think the characters are like number 1 in this movie, and the plot isn't as significant as a normal movie usually is. I think you just experiencing the characters kind of doing shit and them kind of like how they interact with each other is more important in this movie than the plot itself. But I'm not saying the plot isn't significant.
Every time you see a character, they're there for like 5 minutes and then they're gone for like the rest of the movie.
For me, it's like you're going through Joaquin Phoenix. So what kind of he goes through a lot. Because it's hard for me to talk more about it because I don't want to spoil
his character already knows these people.
well, here's the thing. This movie, I think you think I'm all down on it. And I will say I'm mostly down, but this movie, in general, is just like ebbs and flows. Like, it's very up and down. There's a lot of good stuff, but then a lot of the times it's just other scenes drag it down for me. And one of the positives is the performances. Joaquin Phoenix is really good in this movie.
I think like all the actors.
Yeah, Josh Brolin.
There's a lot of actors in it.
It's well acted. I
just Toro,
I just don't think
Owen Wilson.
The story plot's all there.
Yeah, again,
it's a little wonky in some places. Some like it just throws you in, hoping you already know what's happening.
there's this weird stylistic choice that it's like a narrated story too, but like I didn't even know who was talking like half the time. Like I know who, like it made sense once I was introduced to that character, you know what I mean? But I was just like, why are they narrating this story? Like what's going on here? Like I don't know. Like
I had all those questions only like 30 minutes in, and after like a certain time, I was like, I understand. Like I kind of like I'm getting why now for all these.
We are.
So like for me, again, I feel bad. I'm making it sound like I'm so fucking big brain, dude. It is for me. It just works for me.
I understand.
At a certain point, I'm like, this all makes sense to me now.
But I don't want you to think that I don't understand. I understand most of the movie.
You weren't smoking weed. I was. No,
I understand most of the movie. There's some scenes that I'm just like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. But it just doesn't. It's again, you comparing it to Sacred Deer, I guess, almost completes it for me because it's like that's a well performed movie.
After I finished the movie,
but
I'm
I didn't like it.
I knew I was gonna use that curse because I knew that would work perfectly for you.
Yeah.
Because we didn't talk about this. Like we usually talk about it for like 2 seconds before we like on the show. But like we didn't, and I was like, I'm gonna use Sacred Deer because I know this is exactly how they're gonna feel. Yeah. Except they're gonna be on the opposite side this time.
Because at least Sacred Deer has some awesome cinematography.
Yeah.
I think this movie also has like. It sounds so stupid. Like the vibe, like you feel like you're in the '70s with fucking Joaquin Phoenix the whole time. Like I never like because I mentioned it in the previous episode where like The Nice Guys is like I think '77 to be specific, and there are times where he's like, oh, I like it kind of you can't tell like if it's like modern times or not. I thought that was dumb. No offense. Like it was pretty obvious it was in the '77, and this movie I think it's even more like I felt even more. I'm like this is very like it gives you a lot of context without flat out saying anything that you can kind of understand how the climate of this world is, and it's technically it's based off real life. It's not like a fake world or whatever, but like I just think like again I wear headphones. I think that helps a lot because the music plays and you kind of like feels like to me that odd music works perfectly if you don't recognize it, but it gets you there.
I don't buy it. And personally, like I understand where you're coming at, saying that wearing headphones helps you get immersed into the world.
Not on purpose. I just have to do because I have to. I would never wear headphones. For
I understand that, but like I can still hear the music on my TV speakers.
Yeah, no. I mean,
it's not like, oh man, I'm missing this whole aspect of the movie. You know?
No.
I'm with you, Omar. Like, yeah, the characters, the atmosphere, the music, it all does make it feel like 70s. Like it's all there.
It feels like a lived-in world.
Yes, I can see that. It's not a very good script.
Yeah.
Again, obviously, I disagree, but I think as well, because Alex said it earlier, like characters kind of show for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that. Was it? I think Lady Bird, where like a lot of characters show up for like maybe 5 minutes every like once in a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I think that's similar. Not the same movie at all, but like I think that concept of like you're following one character and like. The character usually isn't with the same people all the time or whatever. Like sometimes they're with this guy, next time they're another guy. Again, not the same person, but like for me, that's like that works. And it just happens to be that all these guys are mostly big name actors. I suppose the Lady Bird, they're kind of as like, not obviously no names, but they're not as high end as like fucking Owen Wilson, the most famous actor in this movie.
I mean, with Lady Bird, like there's no clear antagonist. I don't think they're supposed to be. Like it's just you're watching this girl's story. With this movie, like. It just tries to make you feel like Josh Brolin's the bad guy at first, and then it's this drug dealer, and then someone else, I forget.
It's very like all over the place, and it's probably intentional, but to me it doesn't make it good. You know what I mean?
I think I forgot to bring this up in the stats and facts because I think I missed it. It's based off a book, the exact same name. Inherent Vice, and I guess There Will Be Blood is also based off. It's the same. I think it's the same author. I don't remember. Okay. But that book was like oil. But that's beside the point. But this movie, this is like that author. He's still alive, but he's like fucking old as hell. He's like 80 or something like that. And he was involved. And I guess that guy's known for like not being in the public. He does like barely any pictures of him in general. Yeah. Like, the only picture they have of him is like when he's like younger, and he's like 80 now. So like, there's not many like live pictures of him current times. But he was involved. And like there were days where like the director would come and say, oh, so I talked to him and like we talked about it. We're gonna change this scene a little bit, do this and this and this or whatever. And then when someone said, I think it was Josh Brolin said that, and they asked Paul Tom whatever the fuck his name is, he was like, he's like, no, that didn't happen. Like, he's trying to say like, because they don't want to admit that he was involved. Because they don't want to, because he's very like into himself. Like he does not want to be in the public eye at all. Yeah. So he didn't want to be involved, but like. Josh Brolin, I think Josh was the only guy who kept saying, like, he was there on the set, he was, I guess. Yeah. He was on the actual set. Yeah. But then they were like, you shouldn't have said that. Like, not that it's legally, but like, he just doesn't want it to be.
Yeah. Well, it's also probably something like, again, some of these auteur directors, I feel like, have a stick up their own ass. So it's probably Paul Thomas Anderson's like, no, that was all my idea. What do you mean?
No, he mentions that, like, he talks to the guy, like,
oh, okay,
he's
so
involved in it.
He mentioned, okay, cool.
Yeah, because, like, he's in the movie apparently.
Oh,
no one knows who it is. Like, no one has said it, but he's in the movie. Josh Brolin said, like, he's in the actual movie.
Okay.
There's one scene that we'll talk about later, like that might be him, but like other than that, like no one knows who's, like, no one says it because they don't want, because again, he doesn't want to be in the public eye. Yeah. But like Paul Thomas literally said the script is him writing the entire book, word for word, and then working from there.
Okay. So like
usually, like, because then for Therapy with Blood, he didn't adapt it as much. He kind of just used some ideas. Yeah. It's like he literally just wrote the whole book. And and then like from there, that was the actual starting point for how the movie worked. And people said, I've never read the book. I'm not a nerd, but that it's very similar. It's pretty close to what the book is, the dialogue and how that stuff works. But I think I'm trying to figure out what spoiler, not spoiler. I think there's another aspect of it that really works for me. It probably brings up the anti-you guys. We say, like, it's a lot of shit going on, and like you're just like, what's going on and why is this happening?
What is the point of this?
A lot of the scenes were like the actors who were playing, they were in their characters, and then Paul would be like keep shots going and let them just do whatever they wanted to do, what they thought would work as their character would.
I did want to commend that now that you mention it, because there are a lot of scenes where it's just one take, one shot, and just following them talking or moving around a room or something.
And there are times where like someone says something but they kind of accidentally cut each other off. Yeah. Kind of like, because they're like stumbling away, like a normal person conversation kind of would happen sometimes. Yeah. So there are times where like characters kind of do shit, and sometimes you're just like, I wouldn't even think they would do that or whatever. Yeah. Because it's like, he was like, you can just do it. Like, just do it. Like, there are certain scenes, especially with Josh Brolin and Joaquin Phoenix, where they shot multiple versions of those scenes so he can figure out what he wanted, like how he would edit it to make it like what he wanted to do. But there are certain scenes where like they were shot completely different, like different things they did, and et cetera, so forth. And I think for me, again, that just works for me, like in this movie specifically, at least, where like it's like the openness of the Ghostbusters movie, where like they let the guys do whatever they want, but with like the looseness of Sacred Deer, but it works for me, obviously for me. But I think that's probably I don't know, unless you want to say some other stuff. That's all I can think of, non-spoilers, without like going too deep in it.
I had something in mind, but I can't remember, so
I think this is actually, let me look at my notes, but this is one of those movies where, like, honestly, if you ask me a month from now what this movie was about, I'll tell you like a sentence, and then the rest of it's like, I don't know, man, like I watched it, but like what but yeah, I mean, I already talked about how I felt about like ebbing and flowing and peaks and troughs, and I mean, a lot of this was going over my head, but it just, in general, like, I don't know, this movie, if it needs to be watched twice, it didn't give me a reason to watch it twice. Like, I didn't feel compelled. I was like, once it ended, I literally, the last note I took was,
thank God.
Okay. No, it was just like, okay, question mark? Okay, bye. Like, all right. You know, I probably would never talk about this movie if it wasn't for the pod. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have just moved on with my life.
So, you mentioned it was a book, right?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like it works as a book because a book you can pick up anytime you want, and books usually jump around from character to character. I don't think that works in a movie, though. You're condensing a book that you can read hours throughout the day into a like 2-hour time span.
Yeah, maybe because it's in a book format, it's like it has a lot more room to breathe.
Yeah.
And because he wanted to be as faithful as he could, it just feels so rushed. Yeah,
like,
I guess.
If you were to pick up a book and go to 2 different like pages, like they were completely different scenes. I think different characters, different things happening. That's how this movie is. There's really no like straight past.
Again, I haven't read the book, so I can't be like, oh, I know. But like from what people that in the like actor wise who have read the movie, read the book, and people who have read the book and then watched the movie, they say they're like, the book is probably more confusing than the movie, where like it is just as like chaotic. There's probably just more scenes involved. And I'll say in the spoilers where like some characters were a little cut and changed for movie wise, but people were saying like it is kind of like the same. It's just that people who've read the book, especially I think the author might have said it, were like it's the best film adaptation of his books. Yeah, because other books he has made they're known to like not be able to make a movie out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I can also see it as like one of those books where like the movie adaptation will help you understand it a little bit more, but like just watching the movie alone, I don't think you're like it's the best.
It needs to be a companion piece.
Yeah, maybe? Yeah, companion piece.
I mean, I'm not gonna read that book. That book was like written like in the 40s.
You already liked the movie. I'm talking about like for me and Sam. Like maybe if we did know what the book was like
about. Sam can't read.
If we did,
as we've learned in our history of doing this, you just can't read.
Listen, I read. I probably read more books than you guys do. Actually,
I feel like he probably has.
Manga does not count by the way.
Light novels count.
Every time I saw Sam in middle school, he'd be reading a book.
Yeah. If kid books count, light novels count.
Kid books don't count.
Yes, they do.
I'm not reading kid books. I'm reading memoirs, dude.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid counts. It's a memoir of this kid.
That was me, Omar.
But I have read real books as well. Yeah. I do like reading books.
If you want to just wrap it up and get into the recommendation part, we can do that, I'd say.
I'll let you guys go first.
Yeah, no.
Same.
I'm not recommending this to anyone.
No.
What's your dad? Can you imagine? What would you do?
Dad, do not watch this movie.
Watch this like beforehand, and he was like, "Oh, you saw it?" Which like he was like, "I loved it." Would you be like,
Dad, have you seen this?
What'd you do if you watched like the Spanish
Why did you hate it too? And if you didn't see this, don't watch it.
Like, imagine the Spanish dub of this movie. It's probably way more complicated because people are probably talking even faster. Yeah. You're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, this movie was not it, Omar.
Yeah, I think not a recommendation.
I guess I mentioned like 30 minutes in, I was like, fuck this movie. I think at the end of it, I don't know. Yes, I liked it. I would watch it again. I would recommend it to like people like my brother and my cousin who like basically we don't watch these type of movies. We watch like fucking a lot of movies anyways.
Sure.
So it's not like we're fucking picky. Like, I would recommend it, but if you don't like it, like halfway in, you can. Like, I'm not gonna be like, how dare you not finish this movie or whatever. Like, if you just don't like it,
it's so much better. Like an hour and a half into it.
Once you're like 3 hours in, dude, trust me, that's only the first half.
I paused it to take a water break, and I was like, oh god, I still have an hour. Oh no!
I think I mentioned earlier too when I was doing laundry, so I had to pause it to like finish it or whatever. And I paused and I was like, I wasn't even halfway in, and I was like, oh boy, that was like at the peak of me being like, I'm not liking this.
Yeah.
Omar, I rarely fall asleep during movies.
Did you fall asleep?
Didn't you fall asleep in like Ghostbusters?
I took a nap. The Ghostbusters, I was just tired because I was working like 2 10-hour shifts back to back.
So I'm still good.
No. This movie, like I watched it on my day off. I was so tired. I wasn't tired, but I like
this got you out.
I need to take a nap. I cannot finish this right now. And then I woke up, watched it again, and paused it like
it'd be
30 minutes later.
If you like took a nap during the movie, so when you woke up, you're like, "What the fuck?" Like you were even worried.
No,
like, I understood the same.
Like, I'm like, I gotta watch it, so I'm like, I'll pause it right here. I'll get back into it. And then I did later, and I paused it to go, use the potty, and I'm like, what the fuck? There's still a whole bunch left. I thought I was almost done.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work for us, Omar. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what does work? Spoilers. Let's smoke a fat one real quick. You know what I'm saying? Before you guys beat me up.
I'm gonna put oh
shit. Well, dude, now that we're out of the smoky room and we're back in the podcast, let's go into spoilers. Man, this movie fucking sucks. No,
yes, it does.
Yeah.
No, but I lied. I love this movie. When I finished this,
it was so fucking weird, man.
I knew you. I was like, I feel bad at saying that, being like, I knew, especially at least Sam. Yeah. I was like, he's not gonna like this. Especially with Sacred Deer. I was like, tried to go. This is not gonna work for him.
I tried to go in with an open mind. I just couldn't get into this one, Omar.
Hey, man. Would you rather watch this or Boondock Saints again?
Boondock Saints.
Oh, yeah, I knew you guys were
Boondock Saints.
Sam's like, I'm not the worst one.
Boondock Saints at least had some redeeming qualities. This has none. No, besides tits.
This movie was genuinely confusing at times. Like the scene where he goes to that massage parlor.
Yes.
And then the girl just starts eating out the other girl. And he's like, okay. And then he walks through and gets knocked out. Yeah, it was really unnecessary. And then he walks through, gets knocked out, and then wakes up next to a corpse, and he's surrounded by the police. I'm like, what's going on? What is happening?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that was me, like, 30 minutes in, where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Where I stopped was when he meets Owen Wilson for the first time in the alleyway. That's when I stopped.
I thought those scenes were great.
I was like, scene was weird.
I was like, fuck, that's somewhat far. And I forgot. I don't remember what point it was, but I don't know. It just slowly made sense to me.
I don't know, maybe because I like Owen Wilson as an actor, I'm like, oh, this scene's okay, I guess.
That scene was fine.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that was when I paused it. I had to do laundry. And I'm like, oh shit, I have a lot left.
Yeah.
And I think when his ex-girlfriend comes back for real, I paused it again because I think I had to do something. And then I was like, oh shit, this is like 40 minutes more.
Tell me why she's so important.
So this is what I think. Okay. I'll say the plot as I understood it as we're going through the movie.
Okay.
Go for it.
I think when I was doing that coughing bit, I actually did like cause me to cough like for real now.
Good job.
So hopefully I'm not out of it.
You want some more?
I'm gonna be like Joaquin Phoenix, just smoking on the job.
His joints were poorly rolled.
Very like him just stumbling like oh, shit. Whatever. I think there's a point where like when someone character just gave up. On
like,
he was like fuck this shit.
I don't roll joints. I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't watch people roll joints, but like those were shit.
Mom, I've never rolled a joint.
Bro, don't tell mom and dad. I'm like the biggest square of all of us.
Oh my god.
So the beginning of the movie is it's his ex-girlfriend shows up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, now I feel so pretty to be like, oh my god, so good. Like,
guys,
I'm remembering this.
I'm like,
holy shit, bro. No, I was kidding. So his ex-girlfriend comes up.
Yeah.
Her name's Shasta. I think her name is Shasta.
Shasta.
And she's just like, oh, hey, my lover, who has a wife already, is like this rich fucking millionaire. And then she's told that they're gonna like basically kidnap him, put him in like the fucking insane asylum, and like take all his money.
Okay.
And then like the wife and her own personal lover are gonna get all that money instead. And then she's like, hey, can you like help?
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then she fucks off or whatever, and you don't see her for like I think maybe like halfway into the movie the next time.
Like
but
70%.
Well, technically you do see her through flashbacks.
Sure.
Yeah.
So she technically is present, the actress or whatever, which I do like her.
Pointless flashbacks.
She's
Yep.
I don't agree, but okay. So that happens, and then what does happen after that? so much weed. Again, the first 30 minutes I was like, fuck this. I'm trying to slowly try to remember. It's so funny because like he's called Doc, right? Like everyone calls him Doc. He has a real. I forgot his real name. But like, and he actually works in an actual doctor's office, but he's not an actual doctor.
He's a PI.
I think it's just so funny because literally there's a doctor there, and he's like doctor, and the doctor's like doctor.
Yeah.
So like they just let him work there or whatever.
His last name is Portello.
Yeah, I remember.
Which I thought was like a nickname people were giving him.
No,
that sounds like a nickname.
Yeah, Doc was his nickname, and a lot of characters just have nicknames, honestly.
Yeah.
But and then he gets like another case through another guy who got out of prison. He's like, hey, this other guy owes me money. Can you go look into it or whatever? He owes me a lot of money.
That was Owen Wilson's character, right? Yes.
Okay. I think he's sadly died recently. I think not too long ago. And they kind of set up more background to certain stuff. I don't know if you guys realize when he's talking about I forgot what they call it, the Aryan Brotherhood.
Aryan Brotherhood.
They're just they're neo-Nazis.
The Iranian.
Yeah, the Iranian.
I'm sorry.
So they're like they're basically neo-Nazis.
Yes.
Which is like the contrarian because the lover character, he's Jewish.
Yes.
But he wants to fucking work with these guys.
He fucks with them.
I saw that phone call.
Yeah. So like
that made sense.
I just thought that was like I didn't know what that meant.
That's kind of funny.
So like when I looked it up, I'm like, that's what that is. That makes so much sense.
Oh, you
no, I didn't know what that meant. I was just confused. I was just like,
thought they were.
So I was like, why does that matter?
Yeah, they just really like swastika.
No, I knew they were neo-Nazis, but I didn't know that was the dudes he was working with. I thought they were just separate people.
Yeah,
so I was just like, oh, those neo-Nazis, and then like there's just this other group.
Aryan Brotherhood.
Yeah. So I was like, they're just different people. Now I'm like, oh, they're the same. Oops.
Yeah. Whoops.
I won't disagree with it. They do say a lot of shit to you, and like. If you don't make the dots, you're just like it just seems to you that those points make no fucking sense.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, okay, cool.
And you kind of just keep going because almost every other scene is like someone giving him information or another case or whatever.
Yeah.
Because after that, he goes to the place where he learns that guy, what was his name, Wolfman or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wolfman. He's like fucking bought out this like entire like land and like destroyed it to make like fucking like homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that shot where he's driving to that place, I thought it was really well shot because it's like you can like no one flat out mentions really except for Omar's character. No pun, that's my name, but like he brings up like what does he bring up? I don't know. Cut that part. Me saying that. I like that shot a lot because it's like in the background. You just see a bunch of like homeless people, but they don't. No one's ever said, "Look at those homeless people." You can just see them driving. There's a bunch of people just in the streets walking around. And their homes are just completely fucking gone now because this guy bought it out.
They were homeless people.
Yeah. That's why they were in the
I thought
streets.
that was-
Like,
I thought that was like an empty desert. I don't remember.
no, there were houses around that
Dude,
area.
I don't remember people. I thought he was just driving in an empty desert and then bikers show up.
No, it was like he was driving in a neighborhood and there were a bunch of people in the background,
Oh.
like kids and like adults, and they were just standing around. Some of them were just running.
I vaguely remember that.
My mind just erased them from my mind. No, you didn't see that.
You just saw him driving. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
like fucking Ryan Gosling driving.
Whoa.
So yeah, like that shot I thought was. I always like shots when like cars. For some, I'm really into like cars. They're so weird. Like when like you could tell they're really driving a real car, as opposed to like. And I don't know. I forgot to mention that. Like when the nice guys, like all those driving shots weren't like.
Oh yeah,
those were green
very-
screen.
very
Yeah,
I mean,
fake.
you want
like-
to talk about green screen driving?
Yeah, those were goofy.
Grand Budapest.
You know that's like the next level. But like I always enjoy with actual car shots. Which I run because Office does that really well for some reason. Like they're like the first time I loved it was
What,
like
The
The
Office?
Office because they just literally just have a camera.
it's just
in
a camera in a
yeah,
car. Yeah,
so
it's
like
good.
when that shot with him driving, like it's on like the window kind of like it because like you don't see the kids. Well, Sam, you didn't even see them in general. Like it's not even the main focus, but for me, you can see them, and you can kind of notice like those people were just like kicked out of their homes.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings up the whole point of like Wolfman's character of like
You want
having
to give
guilt.
people free homes.
Well, allegedly.
Yeah.
When he shows up, that's when you hear the biker gang people. I didn't know they're the neo-Nazis. I just didn't know.
I
was
don't
confused.
remember biker gang.
Yeah, there's a bike.
I don't remember that.
This is gonna make it sound more sound like this. Like, was Omar the only one who actually watched this? Because you're like, I don't remember that scene at all.
Did we watch the same movie?
You were just watching Drive by Ryan
There's a
Gosling.
thing shortly after that.
That's a good movie.
There's a thing that shortly after that Diego pointed out that I had no idea what was going on. But here, keep going.
So they get there, and he shows up.
Yes.
And then he turns around because he sees something, but nothing's there. And the second he turns around, there's like fucking policemen and like fucking military, like
They're
running
like in
behind
camo.
bushes. Yeah, and they're running toward him.
Yes. They're in camo. I didn't notice that until Diego pointed it out.
I
He was like,
noticed
"Whoa,
that,
what the fuck
and I was
that?"
like, I didn't notice that Joaquin Phoenix didn't. I thought he saw that, but then I'm like, oh, he just turned. The second he turned around, they started moving.
Yeah.
So he goes in, and you realize the only thing that's actually active there is a quote unquote massage parlor.
Yeah.
Which is just basically a sex place, and the lady who's there is like he asked like questions like, hey, he's looking for this guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's like, nah, but I can eat some pussy for you instead.
Yeah.
And I knew you mentioned like you were confused about that scene. She was told to do that to distract him so someone can not come out in there.
Sure.
So they can frame him for being that he's the one who killed that one guy the body's next to.
Mm-hmm.
Because the guy he's looking for from the dude Omar was asking for was a bodyguard of Wolfman.
Yeah.
The guy who died was that bodyguard who owes him the money. So he's the one that died. And then they're like, oh, well, we knocked you out so we can frame it that you're the one, the only guy who's knocked out in the dead body. You're a hippie. No one likes hippies at this time. So it's like, oh, they framed you to do it. That's your fault or whatever.
Okay.
That's why he wakes up next to the dead body. Like, oh, we only found you and then the dead body. So you're the guy. You're the culprit. Yes.
Why in the next scene was Josh Brolin talking about a fucking military drill or some shit?
Why was he licking bananas?
That's a euphemism.
For dicks.
Yeah, he's. It's implied that he's not on the straight and narrow.
Uh-huh.
I think on this show we've actually just
I-
avoided saying that somebody's gay.
Yeah.
We just said, "Oh, they're not on the straight and narrow." But I mean, like, yeah, I think it's implied that Josh Brolin is dealing with that.
Yeah, no,
you
I
know?
got that, but why?
Because Paul Thomas Anderson isn't a good director. And he just wanted to let us know, hey, this guy's gay.
I don't think he's supposed to be gay. I didn't.
Come on, dude.
No,
The way he's eating that banana multiple times.
I think he's doing that to fuck with him.
No, I don't.
I
think so.
genuinely think
No.
that.
Even scenes without him, he's doing that.
When?
The evidence room.
Yeah, in the evidence room, he gets made fun of by Adrian. He's like, "Oh, is that your new partner?" He's like, "Fuck off."
Yeah, fucking, he's right there. Joaquin Phoenix is right there.
No, there were two scenes there. One with Joaquin Phoenix, one without him.
No,
Yes.
there was only
90% sure, dude.
there was only that scene where he says that he's right there
Nah.
because he's like that's why he notices that
Nah.
because he's like, oh, I remember that happening.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure there's a scene without Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay,
that happened.
even if that was true, he wanted Joaquin Phoenix.
Regardless, the implication is I think he's gay because it's like, oh, his partner dies and he's emotionally shattered by that. He's in a relationship with a wife he doesn't obviously like.
Well, I think back then no one like there was.
Yeah, but I mean, in
Got
the
him.
70s, like, you can't be like that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be out in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think that's what they were trying to get across with that character. But
I don't think that.
they're just
but,
like, nah, I mean, we don't want to tell you, but
Have him lick bananas.
let him look.
I don't think he's supposed to be gay at all.
I think so.
I just think he's just fucking with the guy Because he just doesn't like him at all. I mean, he just fucks with him all the fucking time. That's all he does with his character.
Why would you fuck with him like that?
Because he doesn't like him.
I'm like a banana in front of you.
He literally like
He
literally
some shit we would do that.
he literally like got 2 fingers and be like, oh yeah, your ex-girlfriend got F-U-C-K'd or whatever. And he's like, and so him getting fucked, and then he just like been like, oh, that's your girlfriend, like just doing that to him. Like as I say, like, you're just fucking with the guy to piss him off.
Sure, but he's very obviously trying to piss him off.
Yes.
Casually eating a banana like that
To piss him off.
Sure.
Why would that piss him off?
I don't know.
If you were with someone you don't like and they were doing that, would that make you uncomfortable?
It made me uncomfortable, but I'd be like,
Exactly. You're just like,
why are you doing that to yourself?
Sam does that all the time.
Yeah, but you not like Sam?
Drama for the pod?
It should be me against you guys. You're always like, you two.
You like the banana. That's you getting a chainsaw ready to kill us.
Because you guys are sucking bananas
What
all
are you
the time.
talking about?
We're so into this banana. This finesse is like the least important thing about all of it.
How do we get in this thing? Oh, I was asking you why.
About Josh Brolin.
Because Josh Brolin's character is like, oh, there was some dudes doing a military drill out there or some shit, but you were the only one left there, so it must have been you involved or whatever. What was that about?
I don't remember that scene. I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly.
I don't remember that scene either. But again, I do consider the first like 30, 40 minutes, again, me kind of just being like,
It's in the void.
Yeah, like my brain is kind of slightly remembering those scenes.
Yeah.
I think this is how I see this movie, where like you see Joaquin, it's like you're following the same way with Lady Bird, like you're following Joaquin Phoenix, and because he's like smokes weed all the fucking time, and like he's slightly incompetent,
Yeah.
and he doesn't know shit half the time. You know less obviously as he does because he doesn't know certain characters. But I think that's how an actual PI job would be like. They just throw a fuck ton of information to you, and you kind of. But I think it works because it does make sense in the movie.
Yeah.
Almost everything said connects back, and it goes into the plot.
And I agree with you. Like, I understood that point. The reason that everything's kind of thrown at you in the way is because you're unraveling the mystery with Joaquin Phoenix. You're not being given information that he doesn't get, really. But I still don't think it's good. That doesn't make it good.
And I also
as a film, you know.
I think halfway in, I was like, yeah, the plot. I shouldn't be 100% like only plot right now. I should just be like, just vibe with the characters. Mm-hmm. Just be with the characters. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, that sounds weird to be like, just turn your brain off, kind of.
Yeah, like don't.
But ironically enough, you do need your brain on, but at the same time, be like, just be chill.
Yeah,
like,
just don't care about the motivations for certain characters.
And then like, not even that. Like, I do agree, all these characters are like, they are well written. All these characters I think are really well written. Yeah. But like, I think if you focus too hard on the plot, you miss those character moments.
I don't think so. Like the narrator girl.
So that was like one of the few things where the book and the movie's different. Where the girl herself is actually in the film more. Oh. And the narrator isn't her.
Okay.
But he was like, well, let's just make her character the narrator instead.
Okay.
So she's kind of like, her character's not really in it as much anymore. Yeah. So she's just kind of just like as the narrator.
Well, like, I know there's like certain scenes where he's talking to her and then it cuts and it's like she's not actually there or whatever.
Yes.
There's a couple of scenes like that. But like the way they treat her is like she's got this like sage like wisdom or some shit to her. And I don't know, I'm just genuinely confused by her character. Like, I understand that certain characters are interesting. Like Josh Brolin's character arc is actually pretty interesting, and so is Joaquin Phoenix. I don't care about anyone else, to be honest. I like Benicio del Toro, and I wish he was in the movie more. But the rest of it, whatever.
I think her character, the way I'm going to say is not even to describe her as a character then. I think she's just like Joaquin Phoenix's imagination. Yeah. Because almost every time she talks to her, she's just talking to him. Except in that one flashback scene. Yeah. Other than that, it's like she's only talking to him. And most of the time, she's kind of saying shit that he knows. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's kind of saying, like, this is his mind, not fucking just toasted as fuck.
You're right.
So, like, it's him being, like, his clairvoyance is as her character. And then how he is now is what he is with fucking, isn't being confused and high all the fucking time.
Because marijuana makes you hallucinate people, right, Alex?
Yes. I have done marijuana many times, and it does do that. I see Sam all the time.
He sees me.
Right now?
Yeah.
Sam's actually, this is a Zoom call.
I'm actually not doing the pod right now. This is just Alex doing a voice.
Yeah, I've never heard both of them talk at the same time ever.
I'm doing both Sam and me this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm also doing Sam. Right now. This is me, Sam. Wow. This is so stupid.
Oh my God. See, I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't really have much else to say about this movie. Like,
see, for me, it's like I find this sounds so weird because I'm like I find it almost borderline pointless to even defend it because I feel like you just don't care. So even if I defended it, it wouldn't matter.
No, I understand.
That's what I feel. But right now. I feel like I can, but you're just be like I don't care.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, like, there's not really anything that could make me. I understand what you're coming from. Like,
yes.
There's nothing you can say that will make me change my mind. But it's not because it's like, oh, I didn't understand something.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, me saying the things I liked about it, you're gonna be like,
that things that I didn't like.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, well, I didn't get that at all, or whatever.
So it's just gonna be going almost like in circles.
Yeah, that's why I feel that's gonna be like. Oh.
But I'm just genuinely curious, like, why do these things work for you? Why do they tickle your brain the way they do?
I think it's just like this movie for me. It's like, again, it's so ironic because Sacred Deer to me it just was what this movie. If it was just done badly, like this is like the correct path is this movie and the bad path is Sacred Deer. That's how I see this. Sure. Like done right, done wrong.
Yeah, no, I like that one better.
Okay, yeah, but hang on, I want to see where Omar's coming from.
Like this movie, like Sacred Deer, doesn't tell you a lot, and you infer a lot of things, and I think for me, I don't mean this in a bad way. Like, well, I inferred a lot of things and I was right.
Yeah,
but only halfway in when like I was confused the fucking half the time. Everyone offering him a job ended up connecting back into the plot.
Yeah,
without anyone saying just flat out, like, oh hey, the dentist. It does this and then it does that and then like the boat and then like no one actually really says any of that.
Yeah.
Like the only handful of scenes where they kind of say something, but like you connect it. I'll just say me instead of you. Like,
yeah.
I myself connected it at around the same probably time Joaquin Phoenix's character was, and for me that makes me like
you felt like you were along for the ride. You were
yes, I felt like shit together. Yeah, like how you mentioned with Nice Guys. You were like I felt like you were in because you were like this movie is just so fun.
Yeah,
you just felt like you were there.
Yeah,
and how Wes Anderson films you kind of feels like you're there.
Yeah,
for me I was in. Yeah, halfway in I was like I'm there.
Yeah,
like I'm just like fucking I hate saying this, like I'm just vibing with these guys like because like a lot of these characters like they just do nonsense things and I think that's fine.
Yeah,
because these characters are almost all nonsensical,
and it is like almost in like a realistic way. Like the way people act or like their mannerisms are believable for the most part, you know. Except for like that cop just letting them go when they all get caught like with heroin and shit. No, it wasn't heroin. It was a cocaine. It was something.
He put a package down.
I think the only thing I think for that scene is because Joaquin Phoenix is a PI.
Yeah, but
so like when you got it, he's like, oh shit, okay.
No, wasn't it?
PI's like less respected than cop stuff.
Wasn't it because the girl they were with was a daughter of like?
Oh, there was also that.
That must have been that because
normally they would have been like, we're gonna check.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they show that the cops don't respect him because they constantly push him over,
harass him or whatever. Yeah, that just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Omar.
But yeah, like genuinely speaking, like I guess I can see where you're coming from in terms of like, oh, this isn't a run of the mill movie, and if it works for you, it works for you really well. But if it doesn't, it's really not going to get you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was with you. Like I felt like I was connecting the dots too as I was watching this. It's just that it was just so boring.
There's a lot of boring scenes. And scenes that you could cut. Like I was talking to Diego about this, and I'm like, this is an almost 3-hour movie.
Yeah,
it's 15 minutes shy of 3 hours. And there's a lot of scenes that I feel just drag on just a little too long, or scenes that I'm like, I didn't need to see this. Why are you showing this?
Maybe that was it. Maybe it's just too long. Like Blade Runner was too long, but it worked. It was in the sweet spot. Yeah. This is just way too long.
I felt like it wasn't respecting my time a lot of the time. Honestly, if there was a recut of this, I know that'd be like heresy. But if there was like a tightened up version of this, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, this is decent.
Polished version.
See, I agree. Yeah. I do think this movie is very, very long.
Yeah,
and there are times where I'm like, all right, like, please cut the next one. Especially where there's certain scenes where I'm just like, I just don't care about this.
Yeah. Well, like there was that scene with when his girlfriend came back, and I was like,
see that scene.
There's a whole sex scene just
that scene
for no
works
reason.
For me, right?
I mean, it was decent
because it's hot. No,
I was rock hard.
I was in there.
I was Joaquin Phoenix.
I love it. My ex-girlfriend fucks a million guys.
Yeah,
I think her character. Man, okay, so
I still don't get why she's so important.
It's just one of those scenes that drags on a little too long. Like it could have cut it in half, and I think I would get the point just as well. You know
I think that scene was one of the scenes where I'm like, it switched for me, where I'm like, this is dumb, and then by the end of it, I was like, oh wait, no, this is big brain. As I pulled my pants back up, I was like, wait a minute, this all makes more sense now. I have my own version of clairvoyance.
Yeah.
ironically enough, that scene is where they actually mention the title of this movie.
Yeah.
Inherent Vice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I remember that scene. I was like, why are you bringing this up?
Mm-hmm.
And I finished it. I'm like, this makes sense to me now.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm big brain.
Sure.
Because I pulled my pants off.
Yeah.
Again.
How does the title make sense then? I didn't understand.
So Inherent Vice, they explain what Inherent Vice. I was glad they finally explained it. 'Cause I was
did
scared they weren't, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck!" I had to look it up and then be like, "This makes sense now." I'm glad someone said it, and I think I ended up looking it up myself anyways.
Yeah.
There's a better explanation for it to make sense for the movie, but beside the point.
Anyways,
Basically, it's saying that like something that can break will break, and then that's not like that's okay. Like for Marshall, like a marine bar or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're saying like, "Oh, chocolate melts, glass breaks," in the aspect of like. A chocolate won't naturally melt, but it will melt because it can melt.
Yeah, but under certain conditions.
Yes, under certain conditions or
Yeah.
whatever. But you shouldn't be surprised that it melts.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing that you should know.
Sure.
For me, I think, because I remember we talked about Sacred Deer and everyone else explained some of these things. You were like, this is stupid. Like metaphors. I think a lot of this movie is like a metaphor.
Sure.
For Josh Brolin character and Joaquin Phoenix character, because I think they mirror each other.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole movie, because they both like want the same thing in different ways, but they end up doing the same things.
Yeah, they're both dealing with the loss of an ex-partner.
And I think they also wish for a bygone era that's no longer going to happen anymore. Because Joaquin Phoenix character is a hippie.
Yeah.
Hippie movie's going to start dying around this time period, and honestly, kind of is already dying.
Yeah.
And Josh Brolin's character is loving that time period where like cops were just number one. And like laws, they don't give a fuck if it was bad, but everyone respected laws. Now no one gives a fuck about laws because of the hippie movement, the peace movement.
Okay.
People were hating cops and the war movement, and although Nixon stuff's happening around this time or whatever.
By the way, there is a Nixon. There's a Nixon scene in this movie after the Nice Guys. Like it's just, I just love how this it's synchronized really well. But yeah, sorry.
But how dare you? No. He's my favorite president. No, I was kidding.
I saw Nixon before.
Is it Lady Bird? There's
the Ronald Reagan poster.
Ronald Reagan. They mentioned he was I think he's the governor.
Oh yeah, they do name drop Reagan. Yeah,
so, it's only going up from here. So I think that's kind of like Inherent Vice is like their ideas of this their own perfect time period, and it can never continue to exist because humans can never allow peace to exist.
Sure.
Because human themselves, they become greedy, which I think a lot of this movie involves that as well, where like greed is what destroys a lot of the things that happen in this movie. Like the ex-girlfriend's character, I think, is a perfect show of that. Where at the beginning of the movie, the narrator girl is like, oh, she normally would never wear what she shows up wearing, which is like long pants, short hair.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like changing.
Yeah.
But then she kind of like pretends to go be like, oh, look at me back when we were younger. When we were together, I was wearing like, she wears the exact same thing the girl wears. Like she says like, oh, a bikini floral thing with the shirt.
Yeah.
But it can never go back because she's been through a lot of fucked up shit at that time. She basically was just like whored out. That's what the character went through.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can pretend to be like, look, it's like the previous times, but you can't because it's not. Like, it's over now.
Yeah,
you can't pretend that like the past is still current times.
And they consistently reference that growth because they're like, oh, this doesn't mean we're back together or anything.
Yeah, that's what she always says. Like, oh, we're not back together. Saying like, you are not back in that time.
Yeah.
And this is like Joaquin Phoenix's whole character is trying to chase his ideal of the time he had before.
Yeah.
Which was the 60s, which was like the peak hippie time.
I guess you answered my question of why she's so important. It still doesn't change my view on the movie.
Like, it makes it's a different kind of interesting way to think about it, but it's still like, I still can't shake the feeling that, like, it doesn't make me rethink the movie that I got to go watch it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, you answered my questions. Like,
that didn't change anything.
I was like, I can see clearly, but I don't want to see it.
I finally opened my eyes.
I see your vision. Doesn't mean I like it.
You just gotta admit, Josh Brolin's character was gay, man. I just need to hear you say that.
You say that, he'll say it's a good movie.
Recommended. Oh, I was gonna say Pride Month. I don't think this is gonna come out for Pride
it's
Month.
gonna come in, like, July.
I don't think it's gonna come out. I think like fucking all these other.
It's Pride Month while I'm recording this.
Yeah.
Don't mention. We don't need to.
No. You know what? I'm tired of holding up this ruse. Things are pre-recorded. It doesn't matter.
This is fake. We're all fake. We got
a backlog for the backlog.
This is like the Nixon time period, dude. We're still in the 70s. That's why I love this movie. I'm actually in the movie.
Could you imagine like 2 months from now you hate this movie and the review comes out?
I'm just like the most biggest hater.
You're like, oh no.
And where's the Bond movie? Fucking killed himself.
Guys, can we re-record an episode?
We're about to see this movie.
I'll just send you a file. And I'm like, just insert. I'll cut out all my scenes and just insert me, and it's gonna be all me. Be like, this movie. I agree, guys.
Yeah, it's just you scream. No,
I'm wrong. This movie sucks.
Anyway,
I don't know. To me, again, it all just makes sense.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson's character. We don't really talk about it. We didn't talk about it too much.
No, not really.
I think his character. I don't think he's a big character, but I enjoyed his character when he shows up or whatever. And I think his idea of his character is also interesting.
Yeah.
Where he's kind of just like, oh yeah, like he was basically like a hippie as well, like doing drugs and shit. And then he like ends up becoming like a secret agent, but then he just keeps doing it for like different people too many times.
Wait, I just forgot about that scene where he's interviewing the guy's wife. Owen Wilson's wife.
Yeah.
Like, there's a picture of the baby, and he's just like, no!
It's so funny.
Okay, that scream or Ryan Gosling screaming?
No, Ryan
Gosling scream.
Because it's so high
I've
pitched.
seen that as a meme because it's just like he goes from nothing to terror,
And then he immediately goes back to normal again.
Yeah.
He's like,
it's such a
oh
weird,
yeah, it's not that bad.
It's such a weird take, and Diego was like, they didn't bother to do another take of that. Like, really? Like,
I thought that was
again.
I thought that was great.
It was funny.
Yeah, I think that works.
But the thing is, I don't think the movie was trying to be a funny movie.
No, I think it is. I think this movie is funny.
What?
The last season I laughed. I'm like, this is
it's not
funny.
a comedy.
I think it is.
Serious. This is serious, nice guys.
Yeah.
I think this is labeled as a comedy too. Actually,
No way.
No.
I think it is. Let me double check. You can,
I refuse to believe that.
Is there another
I'm
movie
like,
we were
there's-
told it was a comedy and then
I think so. But there was another scene before that I was like, oh, that was kind of funny, but like, I don't know, like that
No,
specific scene
it's
was
not
like making me like, oh god, like I wish I could just clip that and
a movie can have a funny scene without it being a comedy.
being a comedy, yeah.
Oh, it is mystery crime. I think it is funny. I think a lot of the scenes are very funny actually, but it's like dark humor funny.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that. Well, it's like
'Cause a lot of the jokes are just like kind of fucked up shit or like them
it's
being
like
weird.
Oh, are you a cop? And he's like, no. And she's like, oh well, I was gonna tell you.
Yeah, if we offer you the service,
We
for
would offer you the pussy eater special if you were a cop.
or
And
like when he's in
like,
the
well, I'm a PI.
when he's in the sane asylum, he's like, does that guy have a swastika on his face?
Oh, yeah,
he's
he's
like,
like-
oh no, it's just a Buddhist symbol or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, why you ask? He's like, oh, it just looks like he has a swastika.
Yeah.
And like almost immediately like, what the fuck? Like he makes eye contact. He's like, what the fuck?
That was funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think there's a lot of like, it's like, I know you're gonna hate me for comparing it, but it's like American Ultra where there's not a lot of good stuff for me, but there's some funny shit in there.
Yeah.
And then in this movie, there's not a lot of good stuff for me, but there's some quality, either well acted scenes or really funny moments.
Put a gun to your head, gun to your balls, and I said,
I'd rather watch American Ultra.
no, I'm not saying again. I'm saying what you think is better. There's a difference between what's the difference between you think is a better movie and what would you watch again?
Oh,
Those are different questions.
God, I guess Inherent Vice is better as a film.
So I'm still on the good end.
Sure.
I'd go American Ultra.
It was like
that one's shorter.
that's the only redeeming quality is
You
that
get
short.
out of your way quicker.
Yeah, and there's some funny parts.
Now, if you're like gun to your head, gun to your balls,
Would you watch again?
You need to watch one of them.
Yeah,
now.
again. Yeah.
American Ultra.
I wouldn't say that either, but I understand.
Yeah.
But there's a difference, though.
Yeah, there's a
difference.
huge difference.
Like if you said, "Oh, Gunner Head, Gunner Ball," would you watch Blade Runner or like fucking like
but Blade
Nice
Runner
Guys?
is better.
You're like, well, Nice Guys because it's faster, and Blade Runner is longer, but they're both great movies.
I don't know. Those
Yeah,
are
that's
good.
a tough one.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, there's a difference between a better movie and would you watch it again?
That's true.
That's what I'm saying.
But like, if we're comparing stuff like of the quality of American Ultra versus this movie, like it's a no-brainer. But if we're gonna like, oh, Blade Runner or this or freaking
I'm saying this, so I can defend myself. This isn't the worst movie.
yeah,
So I can say I don't have that title.
it's not the worst movie, but of the decently made movies, it's the worst one.
See, I'm gonna get flack for this. I think this is like the higher end
That-
movies.
No,
I think this is a
no.
really, really good movie.
No.
I'm a sucker for Hope for Grace. So I'll watch American Ultra again.
But again, we're not doing
I know.
watchability.
I just think all my movies are perfect.
Yeah,
The reason
well,
why I
that's-
picked them. No,
Well,
I'm
that's
kidding.
why you pick awful games too. You just don't have good taste.
I like to point out
That's a sneak peek for the next game.
that Sam is a worse record than me. But
Sure.
for movies. No, I genuinely do think this is a great movie.
Okay.
I really like this movie. I would purchase this movie. I would watch it again. I would do all the criteria that we always use for movies. I would do all of it, basically.
Watch it with your dad.
No,
I would
don't watch it.
My father would be like, "I'm leaving 2 minutes in," because he'd be like, "This is confusing." He's like, "Where are the cowboys?
Show him,
Where's like?"
Do you have the Spanish subtitles on?
He wouldn't care.
Show him the sex scene.
Daddy.
My father would be like, "Sylvester Stallone's not in it. I'm out." Like that's all he cares about.
But yeah, it's I don't know. You got anything else?
I think to me, again, like, it's so I'm wishing someone like Sacred Deer, so I can be like, I understand now what you see out of this.
Yeah.
Not saying Sacred Deer, I understand Sacred Deer now. That doesn't change my opinion of Sacred Deer at all.
Yeah.
I just think this to me is like a good Sacred Deer.
Sure, but you liked Sacred Deer, didn't you?
No.
Oh.
I thought this is all the bad things.
But then you know how we feel about this movie then.
Yeah, so I'm not as upset.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's no point in me defending because I already know how you feel.
Yeah.
I understand. Like, if you try to explain to me, well, I kind of did. I purposely looked up more stuff so I can understand it, and I was like, this doesn't change my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think for this one, it worked. I don't agree, though, because you've been mentioned. I don't know why I have to defend this man. Like, he's like my father. Because you were like, you don't like the director. I disagree with that at all.
Yeah, well, no, it's just that this doesn't motivate me to see anything else by him.
This is the only movie he's seen by him, so...
Yeah, like, if it's like, I don't know, what's a good example?
Like, he just saw The Nice Guys. If he didn't like The Nice Guys, he would have been like, I don't want to watch another Shane Black
like,
movie.
If you watch like if you watch like Iron Man 3, no, if you watch Iron Man 3 first, you're gonna be like, I don't want to watch The Nice Guys now.
Yes,
because you'd be like, well, Shane Black made it, and you made Iron Man 3 or whatever. That's
like,
how you would see it.
Like, who directed that Thor movie?
Which one?
The first one.
I don't even know.
Okay, whatever that guy did, I'm not watching that. Or like, the person who did American Ultra. Like, they never did anything after that. Probably because they didn't
did that movie you guys made watch before that. Wasn't it like Project X or whatever?
Yes. But I'm saying after American Ultra, he was done. Like,
didn't he make the Netflix series?
No, he wrote
that guy wrote.
The writer, the director, like the director dropped off the face.
Damn.
Yeah, he made like a TV, he like directed like an episode of a TV show. That's basically it. Or whatever.
Yeah, but like, yes, I just don't. I'm not motivated at all to watch anything else by this guy personally. Because I'm just like, is this it?
Maybe you gonna watch the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Because no, I'm gonna keep calling you out. I think you did say, because you were like, oh, like he's like a stick up his ass or whatever, blah blah. I just don't agree with that. I
don't. That's an assumption, just because I know he's an auteur director, and I'm just like, well, some of them are like that.
Because I was like, I knew you were gonna like think of Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Because that was my first thought. Was like you're gonna think of Wes Anderson or whatever. He's like Wes Anderson but bad. That's what you're gonna think about this or whatever. Yeah. Well, they're completely different directors anyway.
He's nega Wes Anderson.
He's evil Wes Anderson. I think it's so funny because like I was the polar opposite where I was like, I saw his movies and I'm like, I want to watch all of his movies now.
No.
Which I think was Boogie Nights. I put.
Yeah, I do want to watch.
And I want to watch that. And I forgot what was the other movie. I think the next movie he made was like, I was like, I want to watch that. And after reading more, and I'm like, I want to watch like almost all his movies now.
I want to see every movie.
But because he brings in like John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Like he's in Boogie Nights, and he's like in his first movie, and he's like in the movie like a Punch Drunk Love, I think it was. And like Adam Sandler's in Punch Drunk Love, like that just piques my curiosity.
Sure.
Where like, how the fuck is that gonna work? Even though I've seen Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems or whatever, so like I don't even know Punch Drunk Love is like even like a pure comedy or how that works or whatever. I don't know what you're laughing for.
Just thought it was a stupid joke.
You always say that every time. You always laugh every time. You're so childish.
Any final thoughts, Omar?
Yeah. Before we
get my phone from under the couch.
We gotta hunt down the phone. Like, he's gonna hunt down the plot for this movie.
Yeah.
I will die on the grave on my head, or whatever the fuck the thing is.
Yeah.
On that, this is a great movie.
Okay.
The same way I can't convince you guys can't convince me that this is a bad movie. Because there's a difference between things that's a bad movie and just not like a boring movie. There are differences between those kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean,
what did you guys say? Is this a boring movie or a bad movie?
Boring.
There's the difference.
It's a boring movie.
It's a boring movie.
It's definitely not bad. It's shot very well.
It's not a poorly made movie.
The actors are great. It's just
there's not like
boring.
editing issues.
Do you think that's worse than being a bad movie?
Yeah, I think so personally. Because it's like it's one thing to be a bad movie and still be entertaining. But if you just don't entertain me, you've completely missed the point of making a movie. Like
you guys didn't watch Morbius. I was like, did you guys? Because I watched Morbius. Because like that's just a bad movie. It's not even good.
It's got re-released in theaters.
I know.
You can be bad and you can be poorly made and not entertaining. But the thing is, like, it's not even about entertainment. It's just like engaging. Like, because I'm not trying to say like every movie has to be a funny little haha movie, but those are the easiest ones to make engaging. But you can have engaging dramas. I mean, there were dramatic scenes in this that were engaging. Just like it wasn't enough of the movie for me to care, you know? Like, I don't know. I guess it is worse to be a boring movie.
Because that's a conversation. You know?
Yeah.
But like, there are differences.
Yeah.
Like, I watched the Emoji Movie.
Oh gosh.
I'm in theaters.
Yeah.
And that was so funny because the guy, like the whatever they're called, like the fucking ticket guy, he made a face when we were like,
one ticket for the Emoji
I
Movie.
went with my
please.
friend. I did not go with myself. I didn't want to watch that movie. My friend was like, let's watch the Emoji Movie, and I was like, ugh, or whatever. And I don't even know how long that movie is. I would because I would rather watch like Sacred Deer again over like Emoji Movie, like shit like that's just like I think it's a bad.
I'd rather go to bed.
A boring film is worse for me most of the time.
Yeah.
But it depends.
Okay.
Like American Ultra is like the worst movie I can think of
That we've seen.
because it's just not entertaining and it's a bad made movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all the worst qualities of it. Even if it's funny, because I know Alex was like, it's funny. Like there are funnier scenes in it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it even okay for
Let
me.
me rephrase that. It has Topher Grace.
And again,
when
we
questionable John Leguizamo stuff.
Yes. Anyways, yes.
All right.
Omar, I'm just gonna tell you this.
I'll fight you guys. Damn.
No, yeah, we
I'll
all
kill you.
we
In the
all,
parking lot.
Yeah, we all have our losses. Like I love Sacred Deer. You guys hated it.
The way you said that. I think this is the entire structure of this review was like, oh, Sacred Deer just wasn't good, but this is better.
Yeah, I was holding it
And
in.
Alex was just like, guys, come on.
We all took it out. Like, this is your L, Omar.
Yeah, Omar, this is your L.
My L was American Ultra then.
Boondock
Right?
Saints.
No, you have a lot of L's.
Boondock Saints. No. Boondock Saints is better than American Ultra. I don't
Yes,
know what
it's
you're
better.
That's the to be an L, though.
talking about. Boondock Saints is not an L. I will die on this hill.
Exactly. You will die on that hill.
We all have our losses.
And I will die on my hill.
At least my hill isn't long as fuck.
The difference is yours, though. You didn't like Sacred Deer either, though.
No, I
that's
liked
not your
it.
hill. Wait,
No,
you
he
did?
liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
I thought all of us just like.
No, it was. I thought it was good. I did agree with you
Were we
that.
smoking weed before this? Shit.
No, I did agree with you that it did leave a lot unanswered. I didn't mean it. I hate it.
Yeah, you liked it.
I like
guess.
this.
All right.
All right, let me go get my phone.
Let's
and
go pick
this movie.
We gotta find the next film.
All right, ready?
So now that I think it's a Sam movie guaranteed.
I think so.
No, well, yeah, it's the same
So
movie.
I'm guaranteed gonna get worse from
It's
here.
gonna be a bad time, guys.
I can't wait till you can pick like a fucking great movie, like a fucking
But
masterpiece.
it's gonna be a movie that like I didn't know was a masterpiece. I just heard it.
Even
was
if you
kinda
didn't like
good.
it too.
I hope it's
Oh.
American Pie.
Let's see what we get.
What do we get?
Ooh, Sweeney Todd.
Oh,
We get a musical.
Oh, fuck.
Our first musical.
I don't.
interested in that.
I'm not. I'm fucked.
I've seen it.
Johnny
Good.
Depp.
I've seen
this
it.
movie.
you have?
Yes, I
It's-
remember watching the
It's
movie.
decent.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was called. I just watched it with my brother, and I'm like, "What the fuck's going on?" I was like, "Jack Sparrow."
The Demon Barber of Fleets. And honestly, the only thing I know about Sweeney Todd is the stuff from The Office.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. Yeah.
I watched that movie because of The Office.
I thought it was Edward Scissorhands,
No.
Honestly, yes,
I thought
I
it
did
was-
think they were the same thing.
and then like I looked it up. I'm like, "Oh, they're different films," and then I'm like, "Which
Yeah.
one did I watch?" And I think it was I watched Sweeney Todd. I'm pretty sure it's
Okay.
the one I watched. I'm not excited.
All right, Sam, you want to lead us out for this one?
yeah, guys, go check out Sweeney Todd wherever it is. Watch it with us because it's now.
Now available to own on DVD and video.